So when do we really need iterators for things like lists? I mentioned in the previous video that a lot of the reasons we would need iterators historically no longer exist. So it used to be if you wanted to iterate over one of the standard collections, you would have no choice but to use an iterator because constructions like the for each loop didn't exist yet. But now they do. So when do we need iterators? Well, one example is obviously not everything can be done with a for each loop. Now, you could combine for each loops and weird standard library shenanigans, but at some point you need something more complicated than that. And I think a good example would be this function here. This is sort of my stock example of an application where you sort of have to use iterators. I have two list objects. They are of the same size, and I would like to take both of them and add them up column by column. So I'm going to make a new list where the first element is 10 plus 6, so 16. The second element's 30, the third element's 47, and the fourth element is 227. So I take two lists, I sort of line them up column by column, and then I add the pairs of elements together. And that requires the ability to hold my place at the same position of each list at every step. So as I walk through the lists, I'm walking through two separate lists, but I'm walking through them in lockstep. You might take a moment to reflect on what you'd do if you had a vector here. So this would be a good exercise to give, 3 weeks ago or something about a basic exercise involving vectors, which is just loop over both vectors, and you can use the same index to tie the elements in each column together. So obviously this is in a vector, this would be index 2. Problem is you can't use indices in lists. So what do? Well, there are a few cop-out options that don't involve iterators. There's, for example, convert them to vectors and then use vectors. Alternatively, I could write a function to index the list and use that, although that's ugly. That would take a very long time as the list got larger. But really, besides that, and besides, standard library shenanigans, there are a few ways of doing it without iterators that require the use of either more advanced features or things in the standard library. Other than those, based on what we know now, iterators, I think, are the best option. So what I need to do, of course, as I said, is I need to hold my place in both sequences and then move where I'm holding my place along at the same time for both. So obviously, the abstraction of holding my place somewhere, that's just what an iterator is. So what I need is to build an iterator to each sequence and then move both iterators along in lockstep. So up here I have the function itself, and I'm going to write the full function, although I'm only going to use the one test case shown in main. You can do the rest of the testing if you feel the need to do so. You can do that yourself. But I'm given two lists. I want to return a new list, so std list of int, that just contains the element-wise sum of the pairs of elements from my input lists. In the event that the two input lists do not have the same size, obviously this operation would not make any sense if one list was 2 elements and one list was 3. So if the two elements do not have the same size, we just throw in an exception to get our way out of that. So I'm going to begin with that case. So I can easily test if both lists are compatible. So I can say if L1.size is not equal to L2.size, then I'll just throw that exception. So then, and I think std invalid argument is a reasonable choice of exception type for this. So we'll say mismatched list sizes. All right, which means if I get down to line number 26, then I have two lists with equal size. So if I iterate along one list, then when I get to the end of one list, I'll be at the end of the other, as long as I iterate along equally between the two lists. So what I'll do is I'll create an iterator over list 1, so L1.begin, and I'll create an iterator over list 2, so that's L2.begin. And then I just want to loop until I get to the end. And I suppose at some point I'm also going to want to create my output list. So we'll make that here. Call that result, and we'll start that off with an empty list. And then what I'll do is I will use, I think for this, maybe it's appropriate to use a while loop. A for loop would also work here. The issue is because I want iter1 and iter2 to be treated sort of symmetrically, if I use a for loop, then one of them will be treated a bit differently. It'll look different how I work with one iterator over another. I want to try and minimize that. There's still going to be a little bit of it, but I want to minimize that to the extent possible. So I'm going to keep iterating until I reach the end of list 1. And if I play my cards right, then list 1 and list 2, the iterators for both will hit the end at exactly the same time, because I know the two lists have the same size. So while iter1 is not equal to L1.end, and recall that being equal to L1.end is a way of signaling that iter1 is now invalid, because L1.end is an imaginary invalid position one past the end of the list. So while iter1 is not equal to L1.end, well, that means that I have a valid iterator, and so what I'll do is I'll add to the end of my result list the sum of the element that iter1 refers to plus the element that iter2 refers to. And then I'll advance both iterators. So iter1 plus plus and iter2 plus plus. So both iterators are now moving at the same speed. So each iteration, each one moves by one position to the right. Because both lists are the same size, that means when this condition becomes false, so when I've reached the end of list 1, I should also be at the end of list 2. And then I get down here and I return my result list. And so we'll take a look at that and see what we think. All right, so we'll scroll down and take a look at our output. So 10 plus 6 is 16, 20 plus 10 is 30, 30 plus 17 is 47, and 40 plus 187 is 227. So the result is correct. And I think, and I mean, again, you can do more testing if you feel the need to do so. I think this is a great example of why we need iterators, because there are applications where we need to hold our place in a sequence where, because we're not just working with one sequence at a time, we can't necessarily rely entirely on for each loops. It turns out we could use a for each loop for this, but we would still need an iterator. So I could use a for each loop over, let's say, list 1, but I would then need an iterator over list 2. So one way or the other, I would need some kind of iterator. In a sense, because I need at least one iterator, I sort of like the solution that uses 2 because it's more symmetric, which makes it a bit easier, I think, visually scanning it to verify that it's correct.